has come to see me. Who do I have with me today? Y'all, I'm so excited to be back. It has been a minute. Lord, these glasses are. I'm officially wearing bifocal things. So, I'll be 45 here soon, and my eyes are letting me know that it's on its way. Quicker than I thought it would be. I'm gonna blame my stroke for the acceleration of my blindness because surely it can't be just because of me. Obviously, it can't be because of me getting older and all that stuff. It's got to be for some, you know, other reason. I don't know. It's just not right. Let me tell you what. I had a stroke, as you guys know, a few years ago. Um, and my vision was doing crazy things. My vision did the craziest things. My vision. Well, at first, listen, I was in a coma in and out of a lot of this stuff, so some of the stuff I don't remember exactly. So but this is what I do remember. At one point, my eyes were my eyes were crossed. So I just be walking around looking like this all day long and just how you doing? Um, and then they settled somewhere, but they would still roam, just take off. That was a thing. And then instead of double vision, I had like 125 vision. Basically, I was a housefly. I could see like if I was talking to you and you were right here, I could be very well looking over here somewhere because I thought I was talking to you. You weren't anywhere to be found over here. You're right here. But my vision wouldn't let me compute that. So I just be talking to my imaginary friend and having a time. In all of that, my vision finally came to kind of normal, except for when I look at things on my phone or any screen, my phone or iPad. So now I gotta wear old Grandma Gertie bifocals, y'all. It's not fair. It's not fair. I basically went to sleep one way and woke up the next day blind as a bat, having had a stroke and lost everything. Like that's very weird. I don't approve. I don't like it at all. But here we are, and I'm in my bifocals. So I said all that to say, excuse the glare, because I'm sure there is one. Matter of fact, I'm looking at it. Oh, it's not as glare right. Oh, yes, it is. Okay, it's not as glare right there. Um, so I'll try to stay in this region, but I probably won't. I probably will not succeed. But here we are, bifocals and all. Just here we are. Anyway, I'm only going to be with you a little bit today. I've got something that think I think will speak to some of you. I hope it blesses all of you. Um, so I'm just gonna say it and get out the way and let you do your thing. Um, as you know, I had a stroke. I cannot remember how many years ago, but I think it's about 3. Um, and I was singing with CC Winans at. We were doing a taping for the Stellar Awards, and it was mid COVID. That COVID had just hit and shut the world down. Like we were just going on lockdowns, and there were all these different rules about where we could be and who could be with us and all that stuff. So the way that the awards season went in Christian music is that they just did tapings, and so um, the band for CC1, it was decided that we would be the house band and perform with all of the talent that was going to be performing, which is fun because they got to sing with CC and all that stuff, and fun for us because we got to sing with them. Well, the day before it happened, I had this headache, whoo, like nobody's business. I can't even describe the pain that I was in. I now know that it was because I was building this grapefruit-sized cyst on the back of my on the base of my brain, basically, in the cerebellum region. Um, but I went on, did the award. I mean, attempted to do the awards, and I was in so much pain. But at some point, I passed out, and like we were in mid performance, mid taping, and I passed out. Now, this is what I've been told. I don't remember this stuff. Um, Apparently, a little bit beforehand, I started like speaking gibberish, or and because I'm crazy, some of my friends thought I was just being silly. But then I passed out, like fell all the way out on the ground. And I guess they were trying to debate, like, well, they wanted to take me to the hospital. They wanted me to get rushed to the hospital. I did not want to miss the gig or cause any more of a disturbance. I was already very, very upset with the amount of attention that I was receiving. I do not. I know everybody thinks that I'm a big old extrovert and I like attention and all that. Nothing could be further from the truth. I do not like focus on me in any way. I cannot stand it. And at that point, it was 30 people looking at me and, trying to make sure that I was okay. I did not like that. I just wanted to go, just keep on, let's go. I'll make it up. I'll be fine, be fine. Well, they would not allow that to happen. And at some point, I was rushed to the hospital and I coded apparently in the ambulance. And it was pretty much assumed that I would die. Um, and when I got there, there's like some kind of coma scale. I think it's called the Glasgow coma scale. It goes from 1 to I think 14. Let's just say 1 to 14. And I was at a 1. And usually folks that are in at that level don't live. But there was a neurologist who was like, let me just see what I can do. And there were so many people telling him like, don't, she's gonna die. Like she's clearly on her way to dead. And he was like, well, then if she's already on her way to death, then what is there to lose? You already are counting her out, like, whatever. So he fought for me and did the surgery and removed the cyst and or the tumor. The doctors called my parents and explained to them what was going on, and they were telling my parents that if I lived, I would probably be a vegetable, and that there was a good chance I was not going to live, but that my life was over, done. And my daughter at that time, I think she was like 3. Like I had a lot to live for. Um, but they were telling my parents it's probably over. So God had the final say. I did go into a coma for several weeks, and the people of God prayed for me. I mean, Lord, they prayed. Jesus, they prayed. It took a couple of years. You know how Facebook brings up your memories and shows you, like this was posted last year. What it was like 3 years of nothing but prayer posts and things like that I was seeing. It was really remarkable. I think they started a hashtag, Wake Up Lacey or something like that. But I mean, the people of God hit the bricks, and I am here because the people of God prayed, and I know that. Um, but in all of that, uh, a trach, I think that's what it's called, a tracheotomy was put in my throat, so that I could live and eat and all that jazz. Um, but when they took it out, it tore my vocal cords. And so that greatly impeded my speech. I couldn't even speak at all for a while. And then I spoke very differently because there was scar tissue and scabbing on my vocal cords. So that effectively took me out of music altogether. Now, if you know me, you know that I've spent my entire adult life doing nothing but music. I've been singing background for this one and that one my entire adult life. And I love doing it. Um, and if I wasn't singing background for somebody, I was singing featuring with somebody's church choir or working with their choir and helping them, improve whatever. But I used my instrument, the instrument of my voice, all of the time. Um, and then all of a sudden, I was in a place where I didn't have that anymore. To be perfectly honest, I didn't even have full uh, grasp of my faculties. I couldn't like walk very well. I couldn't read. I couldn't write. I couldn't dance. I couldn't sing. I couldn't do anything. And it was extremely hard for me. And I found myself in a place where I was just, I don't know. I mean, I definitely was clinically depressed, for sure, for sure. But I was just in a really, really hard place. And so, and I've kind of honestly been in a hard place back and forth because this has been depressing. I mean, I've lost everything. I lost my house. I lost my car. I lost custody. I didn't lose custody. Um, but I lost access, constant access to my daughter. That's a whole another story for another day. Um, but it felt pretty uh, hopeless. Um, and so I've just kind of been fighting my way through that situation for the rest of and all of my healing. I've been fighting that. Um, the other day, I was reminded of a song by the artist Karen Clark of the Clark Sisters, and it's called "A Secret Place." And gosh, I was watching that over and over. I mean, I could not get enough of it. Um, and it put me in the mind of a scripture, Psalm 139. I think we all know this very well. 139 and 7. Hold on, let me look it up. Look it up. No, I don't want that version. I'll read a couple of versions. This is the couple of different versions. This is the King James version, which a lot of people have certain issues with. But this is how the scripture was introduced to me, and then later I became aware of different transitions. So I mean translations. I'm so sorry. So the King James version. This is Psalm 139, verse 7, verses 7 through 10. It feels so Shakespearean. Whither shall I go from your presence? Or, no, that's not it. I just jumped a line. Whither shall I go from your spirit? Or whither shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, thou art there. Even there thy hand shall lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. And that's the KJV. And I also want to read to you the Holman version. Of course, I can't find it right now. Okay, let's do it this way. Um, in this whole craziness, the one constant that I've had is the presence of God. Um, I never, I never doubted God's love for me. I did doubt or question um, what He allowed to come my way, what He allowed me to experience. But the only peace for me was in worship. And so when I was listening to that song I mentioned, "The Secret Place," um, it spoke to me. And I want you to listen to it because it might speak to you too. Okay, this is the Holman version. I don't know if I said that right. Y'all be nice to me. Sometimes my speech gets ahead of me and I don't make any darn sense. Okay, where can I go to escape your presence? Where can I flee? No. Where can I go to escape your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I live at the eastern horizon or settle at the western limits, Even there, your hand will lead me, your right hand will hold me. Um, and so I kind of got on a little tangent and I was looking up um, Sheol because David said, if I go to Sheol, you'll find me there. So I wanted to know, like, what is Sheol? And so I looked it up. And Sheol is a place that in the Hebrew Bible, Sheol is mentioned as a place where the dead go. And they're just kind of holding, just a holding space before their final judgment. They haven't been assigned heaven or hell yet. They're just kind of in limbo and waiting for whatever it is. Um, what came to my mind, what came to my mind is that many of us get stuck in our own personal shield. Like, we're just existing. We're not really striving, thriving, losing, any of it. We're just existing. Um, Sorry, I'm looking at something. Sheol is often referred to as the grave. When I was in my coma, um, right before I'd had my stroke, me and my friend Travis Cottrell had sung a duet together called Ain't No Grave. And the chorus says, Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. This Sheol mentions or includes the concept of a grave just being deposited in a dark place until your final assignment. Um, what I feel is that a lot of us just kind of exist in this dark place. We're not thriving, we're not winning, we're just doing what we can do to stay afloat. Um, I think Sheol is a place where our goals and aspirations kind of go to die. You know, I want you to consider in your life how often you think of the dreams that you had for yourself in your childhood. Like, I wanted to be this big famous singer. You know, I grew up in the era of Whitney Houston's first debut. Um, Gosh, we had Whitney Houston, we had Madonna, we had Barbara Streisand, we had Celine Dion, we had just all these mega stars. And I always said I wanted to be a star like that, but I wanted to be that person that was ministry minded, and that way I could attract people who normally wouldn't be interested in church but might hear my music or might like me, and so they would, they'd consider God. As life went on, though, I found myself in a shield type place where I was like, yeah, well, that was lovely when I was a kid. Especially, I especially fought being in that place um, in the immediate days after my stroke, and if I'm honest, probably even now, because it can be very, very hard to be hopeful when you have gone through so much pain or when you've experienced so much loss. It can be very, very, it can seem as if you're just being flighty or holding on to some kind of childhood dream because you still want to believe. And in an attempt to keep your heart from being devastated even more, you just find that it's safer not to even dream or have goals or work towards a thing one day. Just you just kind of settle into a life of, all right, this is it. This is where I am. This is what I got. I I would like to posture that a position like that is not God's best for you. Heck, it's not even my best for you. You know what I'm saying? But I do understand the attraction to a place like that. It's not like you set off to go to land in a place like that. But I understand how we get there. You know what I'm saying? Whew, keeping the faith and believing and working on a thing in spite of what the reality is around you is no small task, and it can be very, very difficult to believe that you have any kind of special purpose outside of the crap that you're dealing with right now. You know what I'm saying? That to me is a shield type mentality. That to me is a shield type place. So, what can we do then? Sorry, y'all. My bracelets are acting all noisy. Being all noisy. Stay there. What can we do then to combat that kind of place, that kind of mindset? We have to find a secret place. For me, it's in worship. It's in the presence of God. For some, they find the presence of God in nature. They go sit out on a hammock somewhere or go on a hike, or which is not my testimony. I'm not hiking any darn way. But for very many people, that's where they find God. That's where they can see God's handiwork. Um, for some, it's in creating something. Folks who are really artsy often will create music or a piece of art of some sort. That's where they encounter God's presence, sanctuary. That's where their sanctuary is. I want to tell you that finding a place. I'm sorry, did you hear my voice? That. I'm sorry. I want to tell you that finding a place to go in your mind and in your spirit where you can still believe God and still trust and still just have hope about life in general. It's not wasteful, it's not youthful, it's not some childish dream. It can be necessary. It is necessary. Um, I read a quote by, I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt, and she said something that I was like, oh, yes, 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 yes. Ah, she said, do not stop thinking of life as an adventure. You have no security unless you can live bravely, excitingly, and imaginatively, unless you can choose a challenge instead of competence. I know I did a pretty crappy job of reading that, but that's that's provocative. Do not stop thinking of life as an adventure. You have to think. You have to remember that we're only here for a little bit of time. Our time on earth is extremely fleeting. And we've only got a little bit of space to do something with it. There is some quote that says like, what are you going to do with your one extraordinary life or something like that. But that's the concept. You've only got a little bit of time here. Why not spend it in a secret place? A place where you can go and find rejuvenation, find love, find peace, and hear from the Lord. Listen, because of everything I went through in the last few years, I have struggled. Oh my gosh, I've struggled with depression. There is nothing at all that I want to do most days as far as getting out and doing a lot of stuff. And that's extremely unusual for me because I've always been a person on the go, just doing everything all the time, all the darn time, just everywhere. Um, and then I became a person that legit could go 3 or 4 weeks without leaving the house. Heck, at one point, I was staying in like a tiny apartment in someone's house that was like 300 or 400 square feet. I didn't even want to leave there. I barely would leave there to go on walks. I went on walks to like work on my gait, work on things that I had to work on physically, and it was just up and down the street of that. It was a cul-de-sac, just right up and down the street of that neighborhood. I was not leaving if I could control it. I wasn't leaving. I wasn't gonna leave. I went into Sheol. Sorry, this is unrelated to everything, but just then when I said Sheol, I thought of my best friend who, when something stinks, says Sheol. But anyway, it does stink. Sheol does stink, so Sheol. But I definitely went into a place of darkness and a lack of inspiration in any way. I really just didn't want to be bothered. I I lived to take care of my daughter. She was 4 or 5 at the time. I was just an existence for when she was with me. I get her off to school, give her breakfast, get her off to school, and hole up somewhere. And then when she came back from school, I would do mommy things. And that's all. That is all. Um, I understand the draw. I understand the pull of going into a hopeless kind of mindset. But what I want to tell you is be sure to find a place of peace, a place of rest for yourself, and a place of uh, encouragement, some place where you can go and hear the Spirit of God and be reminded of who you are, regardless of the reality that you find yourself in, regardless of the way that you see yourself right now. God can speak to you and remind you. He will send friends sometimes to do it, people to remind you this is who you are. This is what you've done. This is what you've been about. Because in my experience, um, I had sung for God and man. I was everywhere. I was working everywhere. I was shooting these videos. I was working with this artist, both secular and gospel. And when everything happened after my stroke and all that stuff, and I lost me, I was like, who even am I? What is the point of me? I wasn't, I didn't tell people that because I knew that they would go into some kind of godly emergency and try to get me to come out of it. I didn't want to put my doubt and my lack of belief on anybody because it was heavy. It was very, very heavy. But that's where I went. Um, I was like, well, I can't sing now. Heck, I can't even hardly walk right now. And it stayed that way for quite a while. So, what's the point? What is the point? Sheol is where I was. Bit by bit, by coming into an encounter with the Holy Spirit, um, my immediate circumstances didn't change any. I'd still have physical issues to tackle and improve on. Um, but oh, goodness gracious, a light year apart from where I was. At one point, because I had a brain injury, I might have only been awake about 2 hours of the day. I was completely out of it. At one point, I lived in a nursing home. I think I turned 41 in a nursing home. I was living in a nursing home. That was crazy. That was an experience. Um, it did not seem very hopeful, and because it was COVID time, I couldn't leave the building. The only way that I could leave the building is if I were a smoker. I could go stand out on the Cantor Cove in the back for people to go and smoke. And they literally would be, it was like a patio square, and they would just stand there, but there'd be like 40 of them. Just, I would have died. That wasn't it. But I was trapped in this rank, pea smelling old folks' home, right? Up the way from the incontinent hallway. They had a whole hallway for people who could not control their potty movements. And the place smelled like it. And I was just stuck in there all of the darn time. My only out, I don't know what you call it, outing was I would take my wheelchair and wheel it to the front lobby, and there was a small little bird cage. It was a pretty big bird cage as bird cages go, but I just would look. They had finches in there, and I would just go and look at the finches. I've never been so interested in finches in my life. Just looking at the darn bird cage. And then I had to like scurry off because there was a guy there that considered me his girlfriend, and he wore a diaper, and you could hear him about 5 minutes before you saw him because he was just scurrying his way. To me, he had not one tooth in his head, um, and he was a white guy. He wore Carl Canaro Fubu jerseys, and then like slide sandals with socks in them, which I hate. You look like a Ninja Turtle. Um, and like a big silver chain and a skunk, like a do rag to tie your hair down with. And so I didn't have much time to myself, or I wasn't in a joyful place. I was in Sheol, and it was very easy to become hopeless there. Very easy. I had been on the road with Travis Cottrell and Beth Moore them for darn near 20 years. I couldn't sing anymore. I wasn't on the road anywhere. I wasn't doing a darn thing. I couldn't even write my name anymore because of how the stroke affected my hand-eye coordination and all that stuff at one point. I completely felt useless and done for and discarded. Nobody discarded me. It wasn't that. It was just the way that I felt. You know what I'm saying? I was in Sheol, in a place where there just was existence and nothing else. No goals, no hope. Just a hopeless, foul place. If you find yourself in that case internally, it's not always so obvious to see from the outside looking in. People can go a really long time faking the funk. Heck, some people can go forever faking the funk, but inside they feel like trash. They feel discarded. They feel left out. They feel forgotten. They feel hopeless. If you feel any one of these things, find your secret place. Find a place that you can just tuck away and hear from the Lord. A place that you can just tuck away and be reminded of who God says that you are. And be reminded of the reason that you hope for any kind of better day. You know what I'm saying? Find your secret place. You have to. You have to. Because life is hard. Shoot. When we were when we're kids, We spend so much darn time waiting to be an adult. We want to get to turn adulthood. We don't like nap time. We don't like whatever quiet time. We don't like. Then you get to adulthood and you realize it is the most ghetto hood one could ever live in. It's not always fun. It's not fun ever. there's a lot. There's a lot that goes on in adulthood that you would never have had to deal with as a kid, and you're like, "Yo, that's what my life looks like now. That's what we do now." It is vital, in my opinion, that we find a place to tuck in and just be nurtured and just be loved and just be all encompassed. Because Lord Almighty, life can kick your butt. Life can be a lot, you know? So, anyway, find your secret place. For me, it's the presence of God via worship. Sometimes, no, really, all the time, music is involved. I always am ushered directly into the presence of God through some song. And it's just for me. There's some people who do not need anything like that. But I hear God's heart in music. I always have. I hear his heart for me. I hear his heart for people. And I often find that I hear whatever my next assignment is, where I'm supposed to go, how I'm supposed to reach people for him. And it always involves music. That's my secret place. Yours could be doing some kind, I don't know, painting or something. I don't, yours could be cooking. Yours could be baking a cake. Now listen, if yours is baking, send some goodies my way. I would gladly assist you in finding your secret place. Secret place in a strudel sounds nice. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I want you to be reminded of who God is, and I definitely want you to be reminded of who you are. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're like me, it can be so easy. It's easy to forget. Very easy. But anyway, that's all I've got for today. Listen, this whole format, the What's Going Down with Elicia Brown, has been kind of, well, I had a stroke and did all these things, so it's been dead for a few years. But I would love if you guys would come back and chat with me. You know how, well, you might not be familiar with how it's gone in the past. What I love to do is get on live and have conversation. People will pose questions or subject matter, or I will pose questions, and then we all can address them um, and give our opinion or answers or whatever, so that the Bible speaks of iron sharpening iron, so that we can um, do that for one another. The Bible also says, and they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. Um, we can encourage each other. Just hearing what this one has to say can be a big encouragement to me, you know? So that's what I want this show to be. Um, I Originally it was every week, but we're starting back. We're getting, listen, Stella got her groove back, and this is me getting mine. So, I think we're just gonna do it once a month for a little bit, or maybe once every 2 weeks. We'll see. If I'm back in 2 weeks, then ta-da. Anyway, I love you very, very much, and God loves you even more. God loves you no matter what you think of yourself, or what you've done, or any of that jazz. He loves you. Okay? Find a secret place. Find your secret place. That's your assignment this week. Find the secret place that speaks to you. Okay? Love you guys. Bye.